Good afternoon, friends. It's me, your host, Mark Levy, and I'm so unbelievably excited to say hi to you again. It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week, which means we have some fun things happening today. Today's an interview day, as you probably know. Of course, if you have any questions for my guest today, you can put them in the comment section on however you're watching this. But we'll get to there a second. But you gotta do like all the intro stuff. If this is your first time seeing this, you can subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, press that like button. It shows up. It helps. All that good things. It makes it all great. I love doing this. It's like one of my favorite things about being able to talk to friends and learn about friends and make fun content while trapped in this quarantine. But and it's good. And also, if you want to help the show another way too, since we're a little bit low on, it doesn't hurt. Broke actor here who's doing their own stuff. If you want to help the show in other ways, you can Venmo me at Mark-Levy. Gets things like that up there in the corner, makes it easy for me to have multiple guests on and stuff like that, and also make it outreach and stuff. There's actually a new theme song coming, I think, next week that I'm very, very excited about. That's an exclusive right here. But I know you want to hear me ramble all day, but you can hear me ramble with my guest, who is someone that I absolutely adore. If you know Sequester, you know he's a legend. He is an HR student and a disability advocate. He is fucking incredible, and I'm so excited to bring my friend Jacob Morrow out. How are you, my friend?
Man, how's it going?
I'm
so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah, like when you said that you want to be on, I'm like, yes, please, because you're just a good light, like a good energy light of person,
Well,
like,
thank you.
Yeah, like I'll never forget. Like the first time I saw you was right after I voted out of my first game of Sequester on 5:30. You were on Podquester commentary.
That's fun. Yeah. Did I say nice things, or was I mean?
You weren't mean to me. But like no one really talked about me besides like, oh, he's interesting. Maybe he'll play again. Because I was in that game for like 3 rounds. So
was that the game where I called Robin boring?
Yes, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like me. Yeah. I will never live that down. But yeah. I mean, to give myself a little bit of credit, that was her first game as well, and I don't think that she was quite as she wasn't quite as prolific as we know her to be now. And so
she's played 15 more times since.
I know. To be fair,
yeah, and she's been at Final 3 a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah. How's your afternoon going? I know you're in Seattle, so it's still the beginning of the afternoon.
Yeah, it's been good. I've just been excited about doing this interview because I think one of the things that's wonderful and sort of frustrating about Sequester is it's such a fast-paced game that you don't really get to have like these wonderful like social conversations. And I know we've had a few in like Zoom calls and such, but I'm excited to have a more long-form talk about things like Sequester and life in general. But yeah, my afternoon's been good. I've just been excited about being on the show. So thank you again for having me. And congratulations on the record for winning a Sequester Mini. That's super exciting. I'm super excited for you.
Yeah.
And, it was well deserved.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I think yours is coming too seriously. Like I told you in the pre-interview that your game in First Boots was incredible. Like the way you played it was just smart. Like, cause you talk like, and I think like that because of your disability, they've also changed the LOS strategy too, which is also great. I know you're on like a bit of a break from the game, but
what's different? I was instrumental in helping bring about that conversation a little bit.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
What's the new thing?
Well, okay, so there's sometimes LOSs that are like the 7th person to message, so that helps with people with bad internet. But also there's also the there's an LOS that's placed like in a room with a moderator, and And what happens is if you're in the room by yourself, you can just be like, oh shit. Hey, moderator, can I have the LOS?
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
yeah, so
I
like
love
that's
that.
great.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the green dot existing because it's iconic for Sequester, and I think that sometimes like that's great. But it's good to switch things up too, and to have things be a little bit more varied, and so you're not always having the same people with the fastest fingers win
Yeah.
LOSs. That's one of the things. I don't think it would really have made a difference in the first Boots Mini because I think me not having an LOS not having access to LOSs didn't really change how I played the game, but it definitely, on average, changes how I have to approach these situations because I know I'm never going to get that green dot, so I have to focus all of my energy on
Yeah.
being as well liked as possible, and trying to insulate myself as much as possible. And that really makes me vulnerable in certain ways because I'm not allowed to be as aggressive as other people.
I fully, I mean, I understand that, like, because I never got an LOS the first 4 times that I played the game.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into from like typing in LOS and getting it, and then one of them was willed to me, and like that was like that's my history with LOSs.
Yeah.
And like I think it's more important, in my personal opinion, to have a strong social game in
For sure.
Sequester than it is to have a strong strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, you can play the game very well, but once you get to like a twist, that's like when it gets to the nitty gritty, you're gonna need those relationships.
Right. Right. I mean, and that's really one of what brought me forward in that first Boots Mini was that I had. I mean, you had the very obvious like Podquester folks. You had Robin and you had Sparks and you had
Yeah.
those relationships. But I was very well attached to those people without people really realizing it. I was able to implement the strategy that I like to call whatever room you're in, try to lock in something with that room so that
Okay.
they don't target you. And so like all I would do is any room that I would go in, I'd be like, this is the 4, this is the 5. I really want to go to the end with you guys. And then like they just like, oh, we have great feelings about Jacob, and so we shouldn't cut him. And also he's kind of nice, and I don't think that he would come after me. But like the truth is, I would cut any one of them without hesitation. But I did
Oh
have
yeah.
I did have a sense of loyalty to Robin and to Sparks, and that loyalty to Sparks ended up probably costing me the win. But we can talk about that later on. But it
I
was a
mean,
great game. It was fun.
it was a good game. It was a really good game. Like it was that thing of like your placement really doesn't matter. It's what you do in the game is what matters.
Yeah.
And like the fact that the cast was just so incredible adds to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. Like, I was the first boot of the very first mini of
What was that like? I
the
mean,
entirety of Sequester. So like that process was so strange to me because I was talking to Henri about something else entirely, like the week or two before she started doing Sequester minis, and we couldn't make a certain project work out. And so she was like, I have another project for you that I want you to think about. And it ended up being Sequester minis. And so I went on and I immediately see, Brent Walgamont is in that first cast. And I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And I knew that this was going to be super fast paced. And I knew that in order to get it insulated well, I needed to get it on Brent Walgamont's good side because I knew everybody would sort of kowtow to what Brent wanted to do because he was the internet celebrity of the time. And so,
and also he's a big energy, and like when he's in the room, like he controls the room. Like
yeah. And so that very first game, I tried to not be the kiss ass with Brent. I was just like, hey, Brent, I think it's cool. Like we had messaged before, and like I thought that he knew who I was pretty well. And so I'm like, I'm gonna let other people talk to Brent. And so I go and I try to talk to other people, and I wasn't as fast as I am now about switching rooms. I was really thinking that this game would be a little bit slower paced, but it ended up that Brent thought that I was boring, because I wasn't as effusive as some of the other people in
Okay.
in the room, and so I was the first target of the very first round, and so like that was a very interesting experience, and I think Audrey felt bad for me, like because she had me back on the very next night, um, and
Which you did better, of course,
oh yeah,
right?
I did. I was dragged that second night. It was good. It was like the pre-jury drag or whatever. I think Bill Methling dragged me if I remember correctly. It's been a while. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I love Sequester. I love playing it. I like 5.8 is one of my favorite experiences of all time. That whole cast is amazing. I know you
Yeah, I'm
you
a big
guys
fan
love to
though.
hate it, but it's
I don't hate you guys. I don't hate any casts. Like there's not many people I even dislike in the community, honestly. So,
I mean.
but that we're not going to talk about that. There's no room for who people dislike in the community or not.
Yeah, I love that 5.8 cast. Like, those folks are amazing. My little feud with Dash is hilarious and iconic. I love that man so much, and I love to like play fight with him on the internet. It's so
I can't wait till I get to that point in the Lavina edit because I think the Lavina, like for those who know,
oh,
Lavina
her
Bell
edit's amazing, by the way.
is incredible. Like she edited together the first 5 rounds, and it's like a 22-minute long like thing where it makes sense and it's fun and like it's really funny because who you call Mike Scruffles and I call Mike too,
Yeah,
is very very funny in it. And
Mike is an absolute gem of a human
I
being.
love that guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
But like it's Levine is in a really good job of making it be coherent as a
Hmm.
story, kind of
Yeah.
like Power Veto does. Well, Power Veto Room Moment does.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean that many. I thought I was retired after that many. I thought like that was the peak of what I could do in terms of sequester. And I'm glad First Boots came around, but yeah, I was very happy to retire after 5.8. But now sequester minis are a thing, and so now I'm trying to balance like how much do I want to keep playing sequester and how much of my energy do I want to give to giving opportunity to new voices and sort of
And
ta- go ahead.
yeah, I mean, because you are like the original disabled voice in Sequester Mini for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of funny to think about that. Like I feel like I have I've talked about this openly. It's very hard for me to sort of balance like how much of my disability I want to make a public in a fast paced game like Sequester. I'm very much an open book in like long form conversations, but I didn't necessarily want that to become part of my gameplay. But when I realized that there needs to be a reason why I can't compete for LOSs, and I need to make myself. Um, I like one of the things that I guess learned how to do is weaponize my disability in the best way that I can. What I mean by that is I know how to utilize people's perceptions
So
and use
the
the
phrase
disabled.
weaponized is like what? But
Yeah,
no, no.
I know how to utilize people's perceptions and use them against me, and so that's what I've learned to do in later games. The Harry Potter mini not included because I barely played that game. It's hard to even count that as a game that I played. But um, but yeah, I mean I've just tried to um, make sure that I represent myself well as a person with a disability um, in these reality games because I care so much about them and I care about
Yeah,
being able to equitably play them. And I will give Sequester and production a lot of credit for this game originally being very equitable. And I would also give them a lot of credit for continuing to make strides uh, in wanting to make the game increasingly more accessible to people of all different body types. And
uh, yeah. I mean, it's really like you and like Amber are two people. Amber Hinch are like two people
yeah,
that I can't help but like cheer for because like y'all are both great people. You're both great game players,
yeah,
and fun to watch. And just people that I like seeing people that are different than
Yeah.
just what I am. Like how'd you get into like online gaming and stuff like that too?
So that's actually really funny. I can't wait to tell the story. So I I got into Big Brother, the television show because well, I guess I should back up and say that I'm a poker player, and so one of the jobs that I had was I was a social media manager for an online poker player who made like online poker content on Twitch, and one of his friends uh, ended up being Big Brother Canada 5 winner Kevin Martin.
Oh,
and
cool.
so and so like when Kevin was going back into Big Brother Canada, I had no idea what Big Brother Canada was. But we had like a very quick conversation where he was like, "Hey, Jacob, I think you should watch this show. I think you'd really like it." And I'm like, "There's no way I'm watching Big Brother. Like, I'm not interested in watching just hot people yell at each other." And like, he's like, "No, I think you'd really like the strategy of it." And so I watched his season and I watched him win, which was cool. But I got hooked on the strategy immediately. And what hooked me was like, with a few accommodations, I could do something like this. Like, I'm already good at sitting around in a house all day. Like, I could do this. I know how to play people against each other. And so I sought out opportunities to do that. And so, I've always sort of gone into public spaces with how can I most equitably um, compete in these spaces, and I do the same thing in stand up comedy. I've been a stand up comic for 5 years or so, and so
Which
like
makes sense because you're fucking hilarious.
I mean
Uh,
like. And one of those things is those are things that I sort of stumble into on accident, but it's one of those things where I needed to immediately make sure I knew how to be on top of every joke. And so one of the things that I really tried to do was, you know, entering into the world of online games and online reality games is like, how can I make sure that I'm representing myself well anytime that I turn the camera on and my face is being shown? Because I want to be sort of the best representation of a very wide subgroup of people. And I think but I think that answers your question, and I'll let you ask any
yeah.
follow up questions you have.
So you started playing like online games because of Big Brother, or
Yeah,
like
so I mean, I was like, how can I practice this skill? Like, I mean, um, I just love the idea of like being able to manipulate folks, and like,
which is
I,
so weird because you're the nicest dude ever. Like
I
we technically played a game together and we were like full on allies.
yeah, yeah. I mean, here's the thing though, is like I I want to switch up the perception that I am a good person. Like I am a good person, but the character that I want to play and that I often do play is I undersell how much I know about mostly everything. Like I want people to underestimate me, including anybody that I play a game with. And so like this interview probably shoots that in the foot, but like,
I get that, but it's like it's a thing of like, okay, so you've been dealt a hand of cards,
yeah.
and you're going to use your hand of cards to the best of your ability, and let people know, like after the game, be like, hey, I'm not an asshole if you think I'm an asshole.
Right.
I'm actually a decent dude, but like you would do the same. Like people, I think anyone would do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
I've done that in poker for years, where like people at poker tables underestimate me all the time. I will make my hands shake even more than they already do when putting chips out because I want your money more than I want you to have your money. I want more of like, and if people are more inclined to pay me off because I'm this poor disabled dude, like then more power to you. If it makes you happy to give you my money, I'm not going to stop you, or your money. I'm not going to stop you. And so like that's part of what I want to bring to these games is that like you know because in popular media, and this as an actor, like the prevalent um depiction of us as disabled people as a whole is like this very inspirational edit. We get like the ESPN Make a Wish story, and
Yeah.
it's like, and I have some of those stories, but like that's not all that we are. We are full, complete, and complex people, and some of that, like, I know some disabled people that are absolute assholes, and like, it's fun to play one of those sometimes in characters that I do, and
Yeah.
so like, I just want to be able to change up that sort of perception of like,
I respect that actually.
yeah,
Like, because like all people, everyone it fall, like, as I said before, like someone like we all fall like in somewhere in an umbrella. People are good,
yeah,
people are bad. Um, People are disabled, people are not disabled. Like it's just like
yeah,
it's like everyone falls somewhere,
right.
and what you do in the game is what you do in the game, but what you do in real life is different.
Yeah, exactly. Like I am somebody who like I'm currently a human resources business major, but after that I'm immediately pursuing a master's in clinical counseling, and so that I can sort of break the stigma of mental health for classically marginalized groups of people, like people that are classically disenfranchised. I think of like the
That's
LGBT.
great.
I mean, I think of the LGBTQ community. I think of the Black community. I think of like just and the disabled community as well, and how much stigma there is around like taking care of your mental health. Like, and I want to sort of do my best to remove that stigma. But in games like in Machiavellian games like Sequester and Big Brother, I want to be able to play a sort of more sinister character, and so I think that is something that needs to be seen, and we need to see more diversity in the in the type of people that we're seeing cast in these shows.
Yeah. And that's also like as someone that's just recently basically completely cast his first organized mini. I also took that consideration too when I was casting.
Yeah,
And there is going to be representation of a very great disabled player playing.
yeah,
Um, Question: I've never asked you this before. Were you born with a disability,
yeah.
or
So I was born with a condition called cerebral palsy. It's a very lazy medical diagnosis. It just means brain damage. It's Latin for brain damage. Um, I was born 3 months premature. I and
wow?
I
That's really premature.
or actually 2 months premature. I was 2 months premature. I was 3 pounds 10 ounces, and um, when there was an oxygen deficit to my brain during the birthing process. So in my specific case, because cerebral palsy is an umbrella diagnosis, in my specific case, the neurons in my brain that control like the my flexor muscles, so like my biceps and my hamstrings, those neurons are always firing, and so like my hamstrings are like guitar strings. They're so tight and so taut that I physically can't walk, and so I use a wheelchair as a more efficient means to get around. Um, and as a result of that, I also developed a scoliosis when I was 15 that resulted in me having to have my spine fused. So I've had full spinal fusion surgery. I've had a bunch of like a bunch of surgeries. But I mean, other than that, I'm pretty fortunate in that I can live a pretty normal life. It's not a genetic condition. Um, I can live what can be considered a full life expectancy. And I'm relatively pretty healthy, so I consider myself very fortunate in that I don't have a lot of co-conditions. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's my blanket diagnosis.
yeah. That's good. Like I'm really happy that like because you're fucking like you're like as the dude I know like you're really just a plus dude like
I
and
appreciate that.
like like you're somebody I found myself consistently cheering for. Because I remember like in the first Boots mini there was like half the cast automatically was just going to cheer for, but like
Yeah.
the people who cheer for the hardest were Hugh and Sparks and Robin
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
played with Sparks and Robin and
Mhm.
I voted out Sparks first.
Right. I should have also
And
voted out Sparks.
but it's the thing of like yeah, like because I remember when you because I feel like during um Shadows, right? You were
Yeah. I was
yeah.
in Shadows.
When you after get out of Shadows, you posted this really beautiful, like long post on Facebook about your disability. It was like the first time I ever heard what you like about like your backstory at all, which I always was like, oh wow, I'm more endeared to Jacob than I was before.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to be more visible about, because I think one of the things that really got to me in that game was that there was still that sort of thing following me around, that I was boring. And so like one of those things is I don't know exactly how much, again, like to put in like of my disability to make a part of this very fast paced game. And so part of me making that Facebook post is like, hey guys, here's the background. Here are some interesting things about me that fight against that edit. Because as I was going to get eliminated, one of the players was like, hey, tell me, I forget who it was, and I'm sorry for forgetting, but tell me something about you that gives me life. And I was like, so this is what I do. Like, if you want my vote, tell me something about you that would inspire me to maybe save you. And I was like, so here's a little bit about me. And so I shared a little bit of my story about how I'm disabled, and how like having equity in these games is super important to me. And so like I just figured at that point that that the sequester community sort of had earned um, a, a special enough place in my heart that they should get to know me on a more personal level. And I mean, I'm more than willing to have those conversations. It's just hard to have those conversations over a game of sequester where like
The round is
rounds
5 minutes, and you want
yeah,
to make sure you get a name out that's not your
yeah,
name.
exactly. I mean, like, and I think one of the things um, that people really sort of, or I should say that I really struggle with, is that there is not a lot of space in reality competition games right now. Now, like zooming out, um, so we're talking about Big Brother and Survivor. Like I would never get cast on Survivor, but I could.
Unfortunately, you can't because
Right.
sand
Yeah,
and
and
water.
swimming is not a thing that I'm great at. So
But
like
you did win MarkTalk Grant Steele, and I'm very proud of that.
I did, which is hilarious, because like I would win challenges where it's like stand on this rope for like and hold a bucket over your head. And I'm like, only in Brant Steel can I win a Survivor challenge where I have to balance on my feet and and do things, which was super hilarious. But yeah, your Brant Steel games are super fun to watch. They're a great diversion, and if anybody wants to watch them, they should definitely do that.
Every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
See how easy we worked in that plug? That was super easy. Yeah.
And I'm not. I've been a banner for, but that's will not be in like 5 minutes later, so we finish. But yeah, no, it's just like I would love to see you like on the circle.
Yeah, the
Like
circle
you would
is
kill it on the circle.
the circle is definitely a show that I would be interested in playing. I mean, like, and with certain accommodations, like, there's nothing to stop me from playing Big Brother either. Like, I mean,
No. Big Brother. The thing that stopped me from Big Brother is the unfortunate casting of Big Brother.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And one of the things that I would say is that what I mean, we've seen a little bit of we've seen some ableism in the house this season with Ian, where people are, and part of that is I don't want to speak out of turn because Ian has his own views about how he views himself in the context of this. But like
Yeah.
I would say that one of the things that is super important to me is that we understand that not every disabled person thinks the same about their status as a disabled person or what's important to them. And so like I just want spaces for whoever to feel comfortable playing these games and feel like that they can be themselves. And so that's the main thing that I advocate for. Is that like, listen, I will be the most savage player you've ever met, but also on the other side of that, like I want to know about people's stories and I want to know like what makes them tick, because I know that for everybody that this life is very difficult to navigate. But I think that Sequester has done a great job as a community of coming together and making a relatively safe space for people. And I think that's great. I think that that Audrey and her team deserve to be commended for that.
Yeah.
But I think like
Just love. Oh.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
you were on the thought. All right.
Oh yeah. So but like zooming out to like the macro, bigger level productions, I think that one of the things that we need to see is some sort of diversity training happening for the people that are actually casting the shows, and not just the people that are sequestered into an all stars house like 2 weeks before they go into a situation. But yeah, I mean, it's I really care about reality competition games, and hopefully there's a space for me one day. I'm approaching 30, so I'm approaching that age where they're like, you're not exactly as young as we wanted you to be, and so
that hurts me at 35.
I know we're both the old men, Mark. We have to accept that now. We're both the old men in like Big Brother and Survivor terms.
Like, well, I would love to be on Survivor, but I know I would have an anxiety attack on day 0.0.0.
Yeah.
Because I know my anxiety, and I believe a lot of people hate me, even though my brain thinks a lot of people hate me. I know people don't hate me.
Right. Yeah.
So like that's conditioning from like elementary school, unfortunately. But that's okay. And like I would exactly be a weird combination of David Wright in like episode 1 and Hannah Shapiro throughout all of Millennial versus Gen X.
Yeah,
I'd be great TV. I hope I'd be like a Rick Devens, like with fun TV, but like
yeah, for sure. I could definitely see you getting that Rick Devens edit for sure. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean they'll never do an Edge McSeacious season again, probably, but that's how that is,
But yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I just really care about making spaces equitable, and I think that Sequester does a great job of that, and so I think that production team deserves commendation for the effort that they put in to trying to make that community as safe of a space as possible. And
I completely agree with you.
Right.
When you play these games, because like, do you have like a different kind of setup than like, because like I'm always curious since like I know that since you're disabled, I imagine your setup might be a little bit different than other people. Or
my setup is pretty standard. I have just a regular old keyboard and mouse. There's nothing about my setup that is particularly different. I just am rather slower at mousing, or clicking over to a Skype chat to like type in random letters than your average person. But I don't think there's any level of accommodation that would change that in terms of my setup. So my setup is pretty normal in the sense that you wouldn't look at my setup and be like, oh yeah, that's different. But I mean,
that's cool. Can we wrap up? Is there anything else you want to talk about? That you want to talk about disabilities and being seen, which I know we've done a lot, but I just want to make sure we hit everything that you want to hit before we wrap up.
Well, I would say that if you have questions about, or if anybody has questions about me or my life or my disability, know that I'm free and open to talk about those things. But know that those answers aren't universal for every disabled person that you know. Like, I've been asked several times in my life, just in public, that gets we're not like Comic-Con. There's no disabled con that's happening where I know everybody that that uses the chair, But yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to have whatever conversations you guys want to have, and if you have any questions, or Mark, if you have any questions now, I'm more than willing to answer them.
I don't at the moment, which is really weird because I like to talk, and my brain's always like blah. But like it is really, like as you said though, it is really important and nice to see that like orgs are becoming a little bit more friendly to disabilities, and some shows are starting to be better. Like The Circle is a show that is good. Even though the winner of season 2 in England is disabled.
Yeah.
Also cerebral
palsy.
Call
me, Netflix. Call me.
But like I'm always never afraid asking questions, and people can do that too. Also this way too. That was a great segue. I'm very proud of that, by the way. The rolling 8K. What does that mean?
That's so I won my first poker tournament with the hand Ace King. And so
okay.
I just was like, hey, the rolling 8K sounds kind of cool because but yeah, so that man, my start in poker is so interesting too. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2 of this. But
I don't know anything about poker, so
the very first tournament that I ever entered, I won, which was very unfortunate for me because I thought that I was
immediately became a threat. Yeah,
no, I thought that I was the best thing ever, and then I just paid so much money in lessons. In that I had to learn that I wasn't the best thing, but I ended up winning my first ever poker tournament, which gave me a way too like a super big ego, which I didn't deserve, but it ended up giving me that @ handle, and so yeah, you can find me basically everywhere under that @ and then
and you also find them on Facebook.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Facebook, where I am more active, like the old man that I am, you can find me at Jacob.
I hate they're saying you're old when I'm 5 years older than you.
Listen, we're both old men, Mark. It's fine. It's fine. Like
I don't feel old.
Listen, I don't either, but the Earth is telling us that we're old. And so, but yeah, man. I mean, again, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Thank you for being an awesome interviewer and a great person. This show deserves all of the success it's going to get. You are super entertaining to watch and listen to, and you deserve all of the best. So,
thank you. That's so sweet of you, my friend.
Yeah.
Also, coming up this week, might as well do these plugs. Brant Steele Day, we mentioned it briefly. Jacob, I always like to ask my guests on Wednesdays, do you want to be in this week?
Oh yeah, if you want to have me in after I've just won like the
you won like 3 weeks ago, but how about this? Do you have a season choice?
Let's just do Edge of Extinction. Why not?
Edge of Extinction is not in there yet. It's the newest one they have, I think, is Cal Wrong.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's do a super modern season. Let's go.
I'll do the most smart. Let me just make sure that Cal Wrong is the newest one. I think it is. Where is my Brant Steele stuff? Because I know for a fact that Cambodia is pretty much the newest one. We'll do Cal Wrong.
Actually, can I ask you to do me a favor live on air with all of the pressure in the world?
Sure.
Instead of doing Survivor this week, can we do a Big Brother season?
What season?
Let's do season, I don't know, 10.
I know that season. That's one of the ones I've watched.
Yeah, let's get some Sequester people playing Big Brother. That'd be fun.
All right, we'll do that.
I think there's 12 spots, so if you need more people, you can always do a more modern season than there's 16.
No, I'm I actually wanted to do an older season of Survivor this week, anyways, because I really enjoy the Redemption Island season I did.
Okay.
Because I did 2 Redemption Island seasons. I did Blood versus Water, and then I did Redemption Island itself. But I think it might be really fun to change it up into actually good Big Brother season.
Yeah, it would be super fun.
And you'll be in it. So
yeah, definitely it'll be good. Let's see if I can win a car. The first challenge is like they have to like compete to win a car. I think is what happens first in Big Brother 10. But
it's always fun. I'm putting you on the list officially there. Also coming up on Monday, we have our second installment of MarkTalk Horror Movie Day with a whole different opening and things. We're doing House by the Cemetery. So if you want to watch it, you can watch it on Hulu. And my guest, I'm so excited about this, Ted Gagan, amazing director and writer, wrote and directed We Are Still Here at Mohawk. You can watch those, I believe, also on Amazon, but I'm not positive offhand. But We're Still Here if you like a good fucking like old school like haunted house movie. Yes. Mohawk is also really cool too. I've been watching horror movies every day because I fucking love Halloween. And I watched Children of the Corn for the first time ever today, and I loved it.
I love that for you.
And also, since I booked this guest, I might as well let it be revealed too. Wednesday, I'm having JC Wong as my guest. He's gonna wake up. He's gonna wake up like 3 a.m. to talk to me because he's in Singapore. And I'm like, "Did you want me to do the normal time?" He's like, "I will be up for it." I'm like, cool. Right. And I'm super happy because JC is another person like you that I'm like, I love so much, and I don't talk to enough. So
yeah, I mean, JC's a wonderful person. I love that guy. Yeah. I can't wait to watch that interview.
It's gonna be really fun. And of course, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter at MarkLevy85, again, subscribe, like the show, all that good stuff. Jacob, thank you so much for being here. This really meant a lot to me, and I'm really happy to have had you on today.
It was great, man. It was great. It was a good time. We'll have to do part 2 soon. I feel like we have a lot.
Teach me how to play poker.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. That'd be fun. We can do that.
2 funny guys. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You're like, this is how to play poker. I'm like, what are these cards?
We need to do that. Let's do that. Yeah.
And I will see you guys next time. Have a good day.